This video is concerned with how to draw a basic t-shirt, and we're using the Essentials workspace. And you can see I've got some palettes already open. I'm just opening Pathfinder because I know I'm going to be needing that as we go through this exercise. I can close the others down like so. So I've just added Pathfinder in to my panels there, and you can see I can access it quite easily now. I'm just going to zoom in so you can see what I'm doing because we're drawing a t-shirt. I'm just going to zoom in on the bodice area. I'm going to start off with the pen tool, and the pen tool has a keyboard shortcut of the letter P. Anything that appears in brackets with the letter is a keyboard shortcut. I'm going to start drawing here: high shoulder, low shoulder, armpit or armhole, and then armpit, and then down to the hip like so. And to stop drawing, you can see I need to just hit return, and I'm going to add a little curve onto this point. So I'm just going to switch out to the anchor point tool, and I'm just going to click and drag that down like so. So I've now got a nice curve on here. I've also got this rather sharp little mitre corner, so what I'm going to do before I go any further is I'm just going to go to my strokes panel and turn those mitres off. Now you can see when you first open the strokes panel you might just have weight showing, but I can show options, and you can see here that I've got some other choices. I'm just going to turn the caps and corners to rounded, and this gives me a much more pleasant look. Now you can see where it says caps, the difference is as so. There we go. So I'm just going to zoom back out again, and we're going to continue drawing our t-shirt. So I'm using the selection tool to pick up the whole of that side, and then I'm choosing the reflect tool. If you can't find it, find the rotate tool and you'll find it lives with it. I'm positioning my cursor on this center line on my mannequin, holding the Alt key. You can see there what happens with the cursor when you hold the Alt key, and it gives you a little dialog box. And I've just reflected that across the vertical axis. So I've now got two sides. I'm going to pick up both sides using select and then shift click to pick up both sides. Right click, join, right click and join. Now I need to add some shape onto my t-shirt neckline, so I'm just going to add an anchor point here, and I'm just going to drop that down slightly, and I'm using the keyboard arrow keys, okay, the cursor keys. I could have used the curvature tool, but I'm just going to add another anchor point there. And then I'm going to use the anchor point tool to change these from corner points to curve points, like so. So I've got a nice curved neckline there. And I'm going to add some shape on, oops, wrong way. Add some shape onto the bottom of my t-shirt, just like that. Okay. I've just chosen the direct selection tool, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select this line segment here. So I'm just going to go to copy and paste in front. Okay. And you can see I've just pasted that little line segment there. I'm then going to pop back and do the same again. So I'm going to paste in front twice. So I've got two of those line segments absolutely slap bang on top of each other. And I've picked up the rest of the bodice, and I'm just going to lock that into place so it doesn't interfere with the next stage. And I'm going to use the direct selection tool, and I'm just going to nudge that up again using the cursor keys. And when I've got that in place, I'm just going to select these two endpoints again using the direct selection tool. So a little tiny marquee over those 2 points, right click and join, and then the same on this side, right click and join. Now that is one object all on its own, I can now fill that with a pale grey, like that. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to create the sleeves. So I'm just going to unlock the bodice. So unlock all, and then I'm going to use the direct selection tool to just pick up the line segments that I want. There we go. So I'm just clicking in the armpit. So I've just got those two little line segments, and then I'm going to copy and paste in front. Command or Control F. And then I'm going to join these 2 points together. And to do that, I'm just going to right click and join. Now I need to add 2 anchor points onto that new line. So I'm choosing the Add Anchor Point tool. I'm going to add an anchor point here and here. And then using the Direct Selection tool, I'm going to move these down and position them to make my sleeve. There we go. And just adjust that a little tiny bit. There we go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some stitch lines onto my t-shirt. So I could just use a line tool, use the pen tool, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Object and choose Path and Offset Path. And I'm going to type in -1 point. Okay, or I could do -2 points and see what that looks like. I'll preview that. It's a bit too much, so I'm going to go back, I think, to -1 point. There we go. Now it looks like a thick black line at the moment, but that's just because I haven't styled it yet. So I go to my stroke panel, change the line weight to 0.25, take the caps and corners back to sharp, change the dash line to a 1-point dash line, and I'm going to align my dashes. And I'm going to get rid of the bits of stitching that I don't want. There we go. Last little piece to go. And then I know that that line is absolutely parallel with the bottom of the sleeve, rather than just having to guess at it. I'm going to do something slightly different with the bottom of the t-shirt, just to show you a different way of doing it. I'm going to copy, paste in front and nudge up, just one little nudge, and I'm going to use the eyedropper tool to pick up the styling from the last stitches that I did. Now I've just noticed I've got a fill on here, so I'm going to take the fill off my stitch lines. We don't want fills on those. There we go. Okay, now I need to add a stitch line around this neckline. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add stitches all the way around. Now, I could have done this and kept the stitch line for the bottom of the t-shirt as well, but it was just really to show you different methods. So I'm going to use Offset Path again, and I know it's already -1 point. Preview and click OK. Now what I need to do is just eyedropper my previous stitch lines, and what I'm going to do, because I only want this bit around the neck, if I get rid of the 2 pieces on the shoulders using the direct selection tool, so I just delete that one and then delete that one, and then use the selection tool to click on the remaining stitches, it picks up the whole thing, and then I can just delete in one go, and it'll just leave the stitch line behind that I want. Now what I need to do is I'm going to reflect my sleeve, which I've just done, and that's the front of the t-shirt complete. So I'm just going to finish this off by adding a little stitch line, I think, on the back of the t-shirt. So I'm just going to do what I've done before and delete the bits that I don't want. So that bit, delete, oh, a little bit left over, just get rid of that, and there we are. Now I think it's done. Okay, so what we've got to do now is we've got to draw the back of the t-shirt. So here's the front. Now, to draw the whole thing again would be a complete waste of time. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to zoom out a little bit, and we're going to copy our t-shirt. But first of all, I'm going to change this layer, which is currently called layer 2. I'm going to call this t-shirt front, like so. And then I'm going to make a new, so you'll see that this is all on the red layer. There we go. Then I'm going to make a new layer. So I'll just group this together, and I'm going to copy it. And this new layer is going to have the back of the t-shirt on. So there we go. This is going to become the back of the t-shirt. So I'm going to just click on the template layer, choose new layer, and I'm going to call this t-shirt back. Click OK. And then what I need to do is all this t-shirt, everything that's selected, you notice this t-shirt's not selected, is in this little red dot. So if I just drag that from there onto the t-shirt back layer, you can see that now lives on its own layer. Okay, so I've got a red layer and a green layer, one for the front, one for the back. So now we need to get rid of the elements that we don't need on the back of our garment. So I'm going to start off by removing this stitch line, because I know that definitely isn't required. And I'm going to lock some things down. So I'm going to just pick up this stitch line and lock it, because I may need that. It may not be quite the right size, and I might end up deleting it anyway, but I'm going to lock it. Then I'm going to use the selection tool to pick, my t-shirt's grouped, so I'm just going to right click and ungroup. Then I'm going to just pick up these elements, so the neck and the bodice, and then I'm going to go to Pathfinder and choose Unite. Okay, and I'm going to just refill that with white. Yeah, I was right about that stitch line. I think I'm going to end up getting rid of it. Or I could stretch it out. So, it's locked. So I just need to go to Object and choose Unlock All. And then I think the best thing is to delete it and draw it again. So I'm just going to copy this. So again, there's lots of methods of doing this. I'm just going to go to Copy and Paste in front. And then I'm just going to nudge that down and use the eyedropper to pick up the stitch line. And then I just need to just do a bit of gentle reshaping with this. Oops, I've used the wrong tool. I should have used the direct selection tool. Just need to switch that out. There we go. Okay, so that looks okay. And there's the back of my t-shirt. Now I can pick that up, drop it over here like this. So I've got front and back, and then turn off the template layer. Okay, and I'm happy with that.